Hello everyone, welcome to the video. A lot of you may not know that Fidelity has launched the ability to trade fractional shares on their platform. So in this video we will take a deep dive into it, what it entails, what's possible, and some of the things you need to do before you are able to start trading fractional shares on the platform. So enough of the camera, let's get right over to the computer screen.
Alright guys, so we are here on the Fidelity website where they talk all about the fractional shares trading. So here there's got some nice graphics, some basic information here, and a nice convenient link to open a brokerage account. Here they also show how it works in very brief detail, but we're going to skip right past that and go where all the real information is, right here in the frequently asked questions. So this is where we'd find the most valuable information. So first question, how do I sign up for fractional share and dollar-based trading? Fractional share and dollar-based trading is available through Fidelity Mobile, the basic trade ticket. Placing your first buy or sell order in fractional shares or dollars enables your account for fractional and dollar-based trading. So basically, in order to do that, you have to do this first via your Fidelity mobile app. And that's what would enable your account to trade in fractional shares. So that is a key takeaway here. Your first order must be through the Fidelity mobile app. And here they say terms and conditions related to fractional and dollar-based trading have been updated in the customer agreement. Moving on. Will I see anything different when I place my first fractional or dollar-based trade on Fidelity Mobile? When you go to place your first trade, you will be asked to review the customer agreement. Proceeding with the trade acknowledges your agreement to the terms and conditions in the agreement. So pretty standard legal jargon here, basically. So they want you to agree to the terms and conditions that they have updated. I do highly recommend you follow this link right here and you read through the fine print to see it is suitable for your needs. So moving on to the next question, what types of securities can I trade in fractions or dollars? When trading in fractions or dollars, you can trade NMS exchange listed stocks. This includes stock listed on the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. You will receive an error message if a specific security is not eligible. So pretty straightforward. Basically any blue chip stocks, any S&P 500 related stocks, most of it should be covered by this fractional shares trading feature on Fidelity. And if by any chance that what you want to trade is not covered, you will get an error message. So you would know at that point what's covered and what's not. What type of orders can I place in fractions or dollars? When trading in fractions or dollars, you can place market or limit orders. These orders are good for the day of the trade only. So, two key items here. The orders that you can place if you're trading in fractions or dollars is very limited. You can only place market or limit orders. So no stop losses, no trailing stop loss, none of those conditional orders is available to you. So do keep in mind that you are quite limited to the type of orders you could place. And also, a lot of the orders that you place are usually what we call GTC, or good till canceled. So it's basically there for 6 months or a very long period of time until you manually go in there and cancel that. Here, when you put in these fractional share trades, they are only valid for that trading day. So if you put in an order and it doesn't get executed that trading day, it will not be open for the next trading day. So something to keep in mind there. When can I place fractional share and dollar-based trades? Another important item here. So fractional share and dollar-based orders are eligible for real-time execution during market hours or normal trading days. Dollar-based orders may only be placed when market is open. fractional share orders can be placed anytime. So basically, once your order is placed, it will only be executed during market hours. So no pre-market trading, no after-hours trading. So your orders are only valid between 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern time. So very important. Another very, very important thing. Dollar-based orders may only be placed while markets open. So the time frame I just mentioned, that is the only time frame within which you have to place your dollar-based orders. Fractional share orders can be placed anytime. So if you're, say, at work, right, and you want to do some fractional shares or dollar-based trading, right, but you're unable to do so because you're at work during this time frame, and the only time you can put in orders is, say, when you come back home after, say, 6 p.m. or something, you will not be able to place dollar-based orders. So you can only place fractional share orders at that time, because only fractional share orders can be placed anytime. This is something to keep in mind. What are the minimum number of shares and dollars that I can trade? Fractional share quantities can be entered out to 3 decimal places as long as the value of the order is at least 1 cent. Executions will be rounded down to the nearest 0.001 shares. So pretty self-explanatory. If you're putting in fractional share quantities, you could go up to 3 decimal places, and the order value has to be at least 1 cent. I think that's a pretty fair statement. Dollar-based trades can be entered up to 2 decimal places. Your order would be converted into shares out of 3 decimal places and are rounded down to the nearest decimal. So basically, your dollar-based trades can be traded up to 2 decimal places, which is 1 cent. So any denomination below 1 cent doesn't exist in the currency system. So once again, I think that's pretty fair. If I enter a dollar-based buy or sell order, is there anything that could impact the value of the trade? The value of a trade may be impacted when entering a dollar-based buy or sell order. Since dollar-based orders are converted to shares and are rounded down to the nearest 0.001 shares, it is possible that the value of the number of shares you receive might be higher or lower than the dollar amount you requested. So once again, I don't see that being a big issue, because all they're saying is it'll be rounded down or up based on the criteria we just mentioned in the previous question. So basically what they're just covering themselves and saying that it's not going to be exact. So pretty straightforward. The sell orders are subject to an additional assessment that ranges from 1 cent to 3 cents per $1,000 of capital, which could reduce the proceeds of that order. So basically there could be additional fees, if I may use the term. I know these brokerages don't like the term fees, but that's essentially what it is. 1 cent to 3 cents per $1,000 of capital, so not a big deal if you ask me. Sell orders placed in certain account types or account conditions may be subject to taxes, which could reduce your proceeds. Straightforward and self-explanatory. Basically, it depends on what kind of account you have. You'll be subject to taxes. And once again, they tell you to review the customer agreement. Okay, moving on. If I participate in Fidelity's dividend reinvestment program, what changes will I see? Okay, so this is interesting. Currently, if participating in Fidelity's dividend reinvestment program, when you place a sell order for a security in your account that has fractional shares, you enter the whole share quantity only, and your fractional shares are automatically liquidated on settlement date. Your fractional shares receive the same execution price as your whole shares. After you place your first order in fractions or dollars, any sell order will need to include the whole and fractional share amounts that you want to trade, as fractional shares no longer automatically liquidate. You will continue to have your dividends reinvested. I think this is important, and I think it applies to a lot of people. So a lot of people have stocks. Say you've got 10 shares of Apple, and you are reinvesting your dividends that you get from Apple back into the Apple stock. So after reinvesting, now you've got 10.33 shares of Apple. So currently, how it happens, if you're not trading fractional shares, or you don't have fractional shares enabled in your account, if you want to get rid of all your Apple shares, you put in a sell order and you write 10 shares. So you say in your trade ticket that you're selling 10 shares, although you own 10.33 shares. And although you put in 10 shares in your trade ticket, it sells your entire 10.33 shares. So what happened is, after you place your first order to trade in fractional shares and you have that enabled on your account, when you put in that you want to sell 10 shares of your Apple shares, it will not sell all 10.33 shares. It will only sell the 10 shares that you put in. So once fractional shares are enabled and you want to get rid of a position that has fractional shares, like we're talking about here, 10.33 Apple shares, you will have to type in that exact amount that you want to sell 10.33 shares of Apple that you hold. Otherwise, it will only sell the amount you put in there. So if you have a lot of positions that have a lot of fractional shares already due to dividend reinvestment, this is something you have to keep in mind, that you have to take one additional step to get rid of the shares that you have. Keep that in mind. Can I trade fractional shares or receive a stock certificate for them? No, fractional shares cannot be transferred and stock certificates are not available for them. Fractional shares need to be sold prior to any transfer. So pretty self-explanatory there. How are fractional and dollar-based orders processed by Fidelity? When processing fractional and dollar-based orders, Fidelity Brokerage Services will act as an agent, and National Financial Services will act in a mixed capacity when executing the order. All orders with a fractional share component will be marked not held, which gives Fidelity time and price discretion to execute the order without being held to the security's current code. It is possible that fractional shares for certain securities may not be liquid, and NFS will not be able to guarantee a market for the security. In the event of a trading halt of a security, fractional trading of that security will also be halted. And once again, they ask you to review the customer agreement. This is mostly how it's going to happen in the back end, and some legal talk, in lack of a better term. So not something that we need to worry too much about, in my opinion. What are the risks and limitations of fractional share and dollar-based trading? Engaging in fractional share or dollar-based trading poses some unique risks and limitations, including: your ability to place trades is limited to Fidelity Mobile, with limited order types, and is subject to system availability. So something we touched on the very first FAQ. The actual amount of an executed order to buy or sell a dollar value of a security may also be higher or lower than the amount requested. We also discussed that. After you've placed your first fractional shares or dollar-based trade, any fractional shares in your account acquired prior to that point in time will no longer be automatically liquidated when you sell. So we also discussed that in depth in one of the previous FAQs. You will not be able to participate in proxy voting or participate in most voluntary corporate actions for the fractional share portion of a position. So this is, I would say, expected. So if you own 0.3 shares of a stock, you will not get some of the voting rights and other rights that come along with owning one whole share or more in a particular company. So I think that's understandable, because if you're owning 0.3 shares of a company, someone else is owning the other piece, or multiple people are owning the remaining piece. So In terms of voting and everything else, it gets real complicated. So I guess they're simplifying it by just not giving anyone the right who owns less than one share. So I think that's pretty straightforward. You may not transfer or receive certificates for fractional share positions outside Fidelity. Fractional share positions will need to be liquidated prior to transferring out. So basically, if you're using the 10.33 shares of Apple example, if you want to transfer out your Apple shares, you'll have to first sell the 0.33 shares of Apple. So you've got 10 whole shares. And at that point, you can transfer your shares out. How are fractional share only positions impacted by corporate actions like dividends and stock splits? Fractional share only positions are impacted by corporate actions in a variety of ways. Dividends for fractional share only positions will be passed on to you in proportion to your ownership interest. However, dividends are only supported up to 1 cent, so dividend treatment may apply to any amount smaller than that, or non-divisible amounts. So this is pretty self-explanatory. For customers participating in Fidelity Dividend Reinvestment Program, fractional dividends will reinvest in the same manner as full shares. Customers holding fractional share only positions will participate in mandatory corporate actions such as splits, reverse splits, etc. Different treatment may apply to any fractional share amounts that cannot be split. So basically, if the share is splitting or reverse splitting, so if you own less than 1 share or fractional shares, you'll be subject to the same treatment. I would say that's pretty standard and expected. You will not be able to participate in proxy voting or participate in most voluntary corporate actions for the fractional share portion of the position. So we also discussed that a little bit in one of the previous FAQs. And here they also say to take a look at the Fidelity customer agreement, and I also highly recommend that you take a look at that and read through it, especially the fine print, to make sure this is a good fit for you before you engage in fractional shares trading. What I'll do, guys, is I'll put the link of this page in the description below so you guys can check it out yourself and see if this is a good fit for you. So I'll also discuss a little bit here, who is this feature good for? I think this feature is good for people who are starting off, say students or people who are just starting off and they don't have a lot of money to invest. Their account size is not very big, but they still are driven to invest in the market. I think this is a great feature for them. And I do think a lot of people will use it. Will I use it? We'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure about it at this point. I'm thinking about it, but I will keep you guys posted if I do decide to enable this feature on my brokerage account. And also, I want to show you some shares where this could be very useful. So a couple of candidates that come in mind. First of all, it's Google. So each share of Google is about $1,100 while we're making this video. Each share of Amazon is about $1,900. Each share of Booking is about $1,300. And each share of Class A of Berkshire Hathaway is $261,250. Yes, that's the price of one Class A share of Berkshire Hathaway. So if you don't have that kind of money to invest in a Class A share of Berkshire Hathaway, or you don't have $1,100 in your account, or maybe you have $1,100 in your account, but you don't want to invest it all in Alphabet or Google, right? You can invest $100 there. Amazon has done very well, but they're going at $1,900, give or take, per share. And maybe you don't have $1,900 in your account, or you don't want to invest $1,900 in Amazon alone. So yeah, you could invest $20 in Amazon. You could invest $100 in Amazon. So I think this feature opens up a lot of avenues, and if you're creative with it, you could really get a lot of value out of it.
All right, guys, that is pretty much that there is to it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like contents like this, you might want to consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have further questions on this, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.